Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video on my channel. Today I'm going to pick something up sort of slightly different, a bit out of left field for me. I just sort of came up with this idea when I stumbled across a book from my childhood. Like, I used to use it for school, mainly for school I think, but I just remember it when I was little. And it's a book of poems that I'm going to go through, and I'm going to read you. We've got loads of different sections with different themes, so I'm going to go through each section and choose a poem from each section to read to you. Some of you may recognise some of them, some of you may not. But the book we're going through is the Macmillan Treasury of Poetry for Children, with a foreword by Charles Causley. And as you can see, it's a nice hardback book, which always sounds the best for tapping. I'm just going to read you a little bit from the back of the book. I think it's just a few, it might even be a poem itself, but it says, "This book," let's turn it around so you can see, "This book is a book which will last a lifetime. Dim drums throbbing in the hills, half heard, where only on a nameless throne a crownless prince has stirred. How doth the little crocodile improve his shining tail, and pour the waters of the Nile on every golden scale. I remember when I was used to swing, and thought the air must brush as fresh to swallows on the wing. And the piper advanced, and the children followed, and when all were in the very last, the door in the mountain slid shut. I cannot help the way I look. My funny hat is full of hay. Oh, wild birds, come and nest in me. Why do you always fly?" Bang went the jolly gun. Hunter jolly dead. Jolly hair got clean away. Jolly good, I said. So that's sort of what you can expect from the book. See if we open it up. So you got a nice red colour. Another colour. And we've got the content. So we've got beginnings, wild and free, pets and friends, weird and wonderful, hill and dale, food and fun, ballads and stories, hopes and dreams, stuff and nonsense, river and sea, young and old, heroes and warriors, love and friendship, odds and ends, good night. And then it just leads into a few words from the bloke on the front. But we're going to go through each section of this book, and I'm going to read a poem from each section. I've already decided on the first one. I think this might be some of you may know. And it's called "This is the house that Jack built. This is the house that Jack built. This is the moat that lay in the house that Jack built. This is the rat that ate the moat that lay in the house that Jack built. This is the cat that killed the rat that ate the moat that lay in the house that Jack built. This is the dog that worried the cat that killed the rat that ate the moat that lay in the house that Jack built. This is the cow with the crumbled horn that tossed the dog that worried the cat that killed the rat that ate the moat that lay in the house that Jack built. This is the maiden, all forlorn, that milked the cow with the crumpled horn, that tossed the dog, that worried the cat, that killed the rat, that ate the moat, that lay in the house that Jack built. This is the man, all tattered and torn, that kissed the maiden, all forlorn, that milked the cow with the crumpled horn, that tossed the dog, that worried the cat, that killed the rat, that ate the moat, that lay in the house that Jack built. This is the priest, all shaven and shorn, that married the man, all tattered and torn, that kissed the maiden, all forlorn, that milked the cow with the crumpled horn, that tossed the dog, that worried the cat, that killed the rat, that ate the moat, that lay in the house that Jack built. This is the cock that crowed in the morn, that waked the priest all shaven and shorn, that married the man all tattered and torn, that kissed the maiden all forlorn, that milked the cow with the crumpled horn, that tossed the dog, that worried the cat, that killed the rat, that ate the moat, that lay in the house that Jack built. And now on to the final verse. So I'm just going to see if I can get this one off very quickly in a row without pausing, because I think that's obviously how it's meant to be read. But so here we go. This is the farmer sowing his corn, that kept the cock that crowed the morn, that walked the priest all shaven and shorn, that married the man all tattered and torn, that kissed the maiden all forlorn, that milked the cow with the crumpled horn, that tossed the dog, that worried the cat, that killed the rat, that ate the moat, that lay in the house that Jack built. And I think that's our first poem done with. And that's our first section done with, beginnings. As you can see, they're sort of just like really short, like fun poems, because obviously it's a children's book, so like obviously they've got to be short to keep them entertained, because I know I wouldn't be reading poems that were like fun rhyming and that when I was little. But just like listen to the pages turn as we make our way to the next section. We're now onto the section Wild and Free, and we will see what we can find on this one. I'm just trying to decide on this one. Let's go for this one called Lizzie's Lion. Lizzie had a lion with a big bad roar, and she kept him in the bedroom by the closet cupboard door. Lizzie's lion wasn't friendly. Lizzie's lion wasn't tame, not unless you learn to call him by his secret lion name. One dark night, a rotten robber with a rotten robber mask snuck in through the bedroom window, and he didn't even ask. And he brought a bag of candy that was sticky, icky sweet, just to make friends with the lion, if a lion he should meet. First he sprinkled candy forwards, then he sprinkled candy back, then he picked up Lizzie's piggy bank and stuck it in his sack. But as the rotten robber was preparing to depart, good old Lizzie's lion awakened with a snuffle and a start. And he muttered, "Candy piffle," and he rumbled, "Candy poo," and he gave the rotten robber an experimental chew. Then the robber shooed the lion, using every name he knew. But each time he shooed the lion, merely took another chew. It was down, Fido, leave, Leo, shoo, you good old boy. But the lion went on munching, with a look of simple joy. It was stop Mopsy, scram Sambu, this is a disgrace. But the lion went on lunching with a smile upon his face. Then old Lizzie heard the rumble, and old Lizzie heard the fight, and old Lizzie got her slippers and turned on the bedroom light. There was a robber on the toy shelf, there was a robber on the rug, there was a robber in the lion, who was looking rather smug. But old Lizzie wasn't angry, and old Lizzie wasn't rough. She simply said the secret name, Lion, that's enough. Then old Lizzie and her lion took the toes and tongue and head, and they put them in the garbage, and then they both went back to bed. And that poem is a very old poem. That was by Dennis Lee, and he did that in it says he was born in 1939. So you can probably tell that's a very, very old poem. But these poems are a lot more interesting than I remember them. We'll just shuffle through to the next section now. And the next section we're on to is probably one most of you will enjoy, called Pets and Friends. I'm going to do a couple here because they're quite small. So this one is called Duck's Ditty. Along the backwater, through the rushes tall, ducks are dabbling, up's the tails all. Duck tails, drake's tails, yellow feet a quiver. Yellow bills are all out of sight, busy in the river. Slushy green undergrowth, where the roach swim. Here we keep our larder, cool, full and dim. Everyone for what he likes, we like to be. Heads down, tails up, dabbling free. High in the blue above, swifts whirl and cool. We are down a dabbling, up tails and all. That was called Kenneth Grahame. That's by Kenneth Grahame, sorry. And we've got another little one here called The Duck, and it's Behold the duck, it does not cluck. A cluck it lacks, it quacks. It is especially fond of a puddle or pond. When it dines or sups, it bottoms up. And that was by Ogden Nash, who was born in 1902. So once again, probably another quite old poem there. I think we're going to move on to the next session. We've had a couple from that one. Actually, we're going to do this one called Cats before we go on, because it's quite a little one. Cats sleep anywhere, any table, any chair, top of piano, window ledge, in the middle, on the edge. Open drawer, empty shoe, anybody's lap will do. Fitted in a cardboard box, in the cupboard with your frogs. Anywhere, they don't care, cats can sleep anywhere. See, that was by Eleanor Fargion. If I might have butchered that, but that was she was born in 1881. So again, these are all quite old poems by the looks of it. We'll move on to the next section, which is weird and wonderful. And as you can see, I'll give you a little show. They've all got like little illustrations with them. So I'm going to go and do this one here. Moonlit apples. At the top of the house, the apples are laid in rows, and the skylight lets the moonlight in, and those apples are deep sea apples of green. There goes a cloud on the moon in the autumn night. A mouse in a wainscot scratches and scratches, and then there is no sound at the top of the house of men or mice, and the cloud is blown, and the moon again dapples the apples with deep sea light. They are lying in rows, there, under the gloomy beams. On the sagging floor, they gather the silver streams. Out of the moon, those moonlit apples of dreams. And quiet is the steep stair under. In the corridors under there is nothing but sleep, and stiller than ever on the orchard boughs they keep. Triced with moon, and deep is the silence, deep on the moon-washed apples of wonder. Another one from 1982 there. And that, I think that's the first one we've had that hasn't had a proper rhyming pattern. So one more. We'll do a little one here, and this one's called Moonlight Summer. And as you can see here, got like a little picture of someone standing in the moon, or sitting under a tree in the moon. 'Tis moonlight, summer moonlight, all soft and still and fair. The silent time of midnight shines sweetly everywhere, but most where trees are sending their breezy boughs on high, or stooping low are lending a shelter from the sky. As you see, they're just fun little poems, they're nothing major. Sections, and the next section is Hill and Dale. And as you can see, got a nice little scarecrow in here with some crows, or just not birds, so there might be crows, I assume they're crows, circling. I think we'll go from this one, and this one is called From a Railway Carriage. Faster than fairies, faster than witches, bridges and houses, hedges and ditches, and charging along like troops in battle, all through the meadows, the horses and cattle, all of the sights of the hill and the plain fly as thick as a driving rain, and ever again in the wink of an eye, painted stations whistle by. Here is a child who chambers and scrambles all by himself and gathering brambles. Here is the tramp who stands and gazes, and there is the green for the stringing and the daisies. Here is the cart run away in the road, lumping along with a man and a load. And here is a mill, and there is a river, each a glimpse and gone forever. See, that one was another one from the 1800s, so these are all like a quite collection of old poems, because the person who made that was born in 1850. Let's do one more. We got one here called What is Pink? What is pink? A rose is pink by the fountain's brink. What is red? A poppy's red in its barley bed. What is blue? The sky is blue where the clouds float through. What is white? A swan is white sailing in the light. What is yellow? Pears are yellow, rich and ripe and mellow. What is green? The grass is green with small flowers between. What is violet? Clouds are violet in the summer twilight. What is orange? Why an orange? Just an orange. I assume that's a play on the fact that nothing supposedly rhymes with orange. But that was by Christina Rossetti, who was born in 1830. I didn't expect these poems to be as long as they are. We've got a section next called Food and Fun. So let's see what we're going to choose from this one. A bit of this book's quite stained, so I'm going to try and find a poem that's legible. Could be burnt, possibly. Here's a poem by William Carlos Williams called This Is Just to Say. I've eaten the plums that were in the icebox, and which you were probably saving for breakfast. Forgive me, they were delicious, so sweet and so cold. That's the whole poem. That's what I mean, it's just silly little poems, like, and I find poetry interesting because you can do it in any form you like, realistically. Even that, like, you thought that was just a note, but it still comes out as a poem. We'll do one more, and this is called The African Lion. To meet a bad lad on the African waste is a thing that a lion enjoys, but he rightly and strongly objects to the taste of good and uneatable boys. When he bites off a piece of boy of that sort, he spits it right out of his mouth, and retires with a loud and dissatisfied snort to the east or the west or the south. So lads of good habits, on coming across a lion, need to feel no alarm, for they know they are sure to escape with the loss of a leg or a head or an arm. And that was by A.E. Housman. So move on to our next section. There's some big old poems in here as well. We got the ballads and stories is our next section. As you can see, we'll probably read the Pied Piper on this one, but the picture of the Pied Piper leading the children away. See if we can find the Pied Piper one, shall we? Because I feel like that's quite a long poem anyway. I can't seem to find it yet. Here we go. This poem is called The Pied Piper of Hamelin. Hamelin Towns in Brunswick, by famous Hanover city. The river Weser, deep and wide, washes its wall on the southern side. A pleasant spot you never spied, but then when begins my ditty, almost 500 years ago, to see the townsfolk suffer, so from vermin was a pity. Rats, they fought the dogs and killed the cats, and bit the babies in the cradles, and ate the cheeses out of the vats, and licked the soup from the cook's own ladles. Split open the kegs of salted sprats, made nests inside men's Sunday hats, and even spoiled the women's chats by drowning their speaking with shrieking and squeaking in 50 different sharps and flats. At last the people in a body to the town hall came flocking. "'Tis clear," cried they, "our mayors are nobody. And as for our corporation, shocking to think we bury gowns lined with ermine, for dots that can't or won't determine what's best to rid us of our vermin. You hope because you're old and obese to find in the furry civic robe ease. Rouse up, sirs, give your brains a racking to find the remedy we're lacking. Or sure as fate will send you packing." At this the mayor and corporation quacked with their mighty consternation. An hour they sat in council. At length the mayor broke silence. For a gilder I'd meet ermine gown my cell. I wish I were a mile hence. It's easy to bid one rack one's brain. I'm sure my poor head aches again. I've scratched it so, and all in vain. Or for a trap, a trap, a trap. Just as he said this, what should hap? At the chamber door, a gentle tap. "Bless us," cried the mayor, "what's that?" With the corporation as he sat. Looking little, though wonders fat, nor brighter was his eye, nor moister, than a too long opened oyster, save when at noon his paunch grew mutinous, for a plate of turtle green and gluttonous, only a scraping of shoes on the mat, anything like the sound of a rat, makes my heart go pitter-pat. Come in, the mayor cried, looking bigger, and in did come the stranger's figure. His queer long coat from heel to head was half yellow and half of red, and himself was tall and thin, with a sharp blue eyes, each like a pin, and let loose hair, yet swarthy skin, no tuft on cheek, nor beard on chin, but lips were smiles, went out and in, there was no guessing his kith, his kin, and nobody could enough admire the tall man and his quaint attire. Quoth one, "It's as my greatest grandsire, starting up at the trump of Doomstone, had walked this way from his painted tombstone." He had advanced to the council table, and please your honour, said he, I am able by means of secret charm to draw these creatures living beneath the sun, that creep or swim or fly or run after me, so as you never saw. And I chiefly use my charm on creatures that do people harm. The mole and the toad and the newt and the viper, how people call me the Pied Piper. And here they noticed around his neck a scarf of red and a yellow stripe, to match with his coat, or self-same check, and at the scarf's end hung a pipe, and his figure they noticed that were ever straying, as if impatient to be playing, upon the pipe as low it dangled, over his vesture so old-fangled. Yet said he, poor piper as I am, in Tartary I freed the charm. Last June from the huge swarms of gnats, in eased in Asia the nism of a monstrous brood of vampire bats, and for what your brain bewilders. If I can rid you, town of rats, will you give me 1,000 guilders? 50,000 was the exclamation of the astonished mayor and corporation. Into the street the piper stepped, smiling first a little smile, as if he knew what magic slept in his quiet pipe the while. Then like a musical adept to blow the pipe, his lips he wrinkled, and green and blue his sharp eyes twinkled, like a candle flame where salt is sprinkled. And ere 3 shrill notes to the pipe uttered, you heard as if an army muttered, and the muttering grew into a grumbling, and the grumbling grew to a mighty rumbling, and out the houses the rats came tumbling. Great rats, small rats, lean rats, brawny rats, brown rats, black rats, grey rats, tawny rats, grave old plodders, gay young friskers, fathers, mothers, uncles, cousins, cocking tails and prickling whiskers, found there were tens and dozens. Brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, followed the piper for their lives. From the street to street he piped advancing, and step by step they followed dancing, until they came to the river Wester, wherein all plunged and perished, save one who, stout as Julius Caesar, swam across and lived to carry, as he manuscript he cherished, the Ratland home, his commentary, which was at first shrill notes of the pipe. I heard the sound of a scraping tripe, and putting apples wondrous ripe in the cider presses gripe, and moving away of pickled tubboards, and leaving a jar of a conserve cupboards, and drawing the corks of the train oil flasks, and breaking the hoops of butter casks, and it seemed as if a voice sweeter far than harp or poultry is breathed, called out, "O rats, rejoice! The world is grown to one vast dry century. So munch on, crunch on, take your nuncheon, breakfast, supper, dinner, lunch on." And just as a bulky sugar puncheon, already starved, like a great sun shone, glorious scarce an inch before me, just as method it said, "Come, bore me." I found the Wester rolling on me. You should have heard the Hamlin people ringing the bells till they rocked the steeple. Go, cried the mayor, and get long poles, poke out the nests and block up the holes. Consult with the carpenters and the builders, and leave in our town not even a trace of the rats. When suddenly, up the face of the piper perked in the marketplace with a first, if you please, my 1,000 guilders. 1,000 guilders. The mayor looked blue. So did the corporation too. For the council dinners made rare havoc with claret, moselle, vindergrav, hock, and half the money would replenish the cellar's biggest butt with a renish to pay this sum of a wandering fellow with a gypsy coat of red and yellow. Besides, quoth the mayor with a knowing wink, our business was done at the river's brink. We saw with our eyes the vermin sink, and that's what's dead can't come to life. I think, so friend, we're not the folks to shrink from the duty of giving you something to drink, and a matter of money to put in your poke. But as for the guilders of what we spoke, of them as you very well know, was in joke. Besides, our losses have made us thrifty. 1,000 guilders, come, take 50. The piper's face fell, and he cried, no trifling, I can't wait. Beside, I've promised to visit by dinner time Baghdad and accept the prime of the head cook's pottage, all he's rich in, for having left in the caliph's kitchen of a nest of scorpions no survivor. With him I proved a no bargain driver. With you don't think I'll bait their stiver, and folks who put me in a passion may find the pipe of another fashion. How, cried the mayor, do you think I'll brook being worse treated than a cook, insulted by the lazy ribald, the idle pipe and the vesture piebald? You threaten us, fellow, do your worst, blow your pipe there till you burst. Once more he stepped into the street, and to his lips again laid his long pipe of smooth, straight cane, and ere he blew 3 notes, such sweet, soft notes, as yet musicians cunning never gave the unraptured air. There was a rustling that seemed like a bustling of a merry crowd justling at pitching and hustling. Small feet were pattering, wooden shoes clattering, little hands clapping, and little tongues chattering, and looks unlike foals in a farmyard when barley is scattering. Out came the children running, all the boys and girls with rosy cheeks and flaxen curls and sparkling eyes and teeth like pearls. Tripping and skipping ran merrily after the wonderful music with shouting and laughter. The mayor was dumb and the council stood as if they were changed into blocks of wood, unable to move or step or cry. To the children merry skipping by, I could only follow with the eye that joyous crowd at the piper's back, but how the mayor was on the rack, and wretched council's bosoms beat, as the piper turned from the high street to where the Weser rolled into the waters. Right in the way of their son and daughters, however, he turned from south to west, and to Koppelberg Hill his steps addressed, and after the children pressed. Great was the joy in every breast. He never can cross the mighty top. He's forced to let the piping drop, and we shall see our children stop. When lo, as they reached the mountainside, a wondrous portal opened wide, as if a cavern was suddenly hollowed, and the piper advanced, and the children followed. And when all were in the very last, the door in the mountain side shut fast. Did I say all? No, one was lame, and could not dance the whole of the way. As in after years, if you would blame his sadness, he would used to say, it's dull in our town since my playmates left. I can't forget that I'm bereft of all the pleasant sights they say, which the piper also promised me. For he led us, he said, to joyous land, joining the town, and just at hand, where waters gushed and fruit trees grew, and flowers put forth a fairer hue. and everything was strange and new. The sparrows were brighter than the peacocks, here and their dogs outran our fallow deer, and honey bees had lost their stings, and horses were born with eagle wings. And just as I became assured my lame foot would be speedily cured, the music stopped and I stood still and found myself outside the hill, left alone against my will, to now limping as before, and never hear that country more. Alas, alas for Hamlin, there came into many a burgher's pate a text which says the heaven's gate opes to the rich as the easy rate. As needle's eyes takes camel in, the mare sent east, west, north and south, to offer the piper by word of mouth, wherever it smells men lot to find silver gold to his heart's content, if he'd only return the way he went, and bring the children behind him. But when they saw 'twas a lost endeavour, and the piper and dancers were gone forever, they made a decree the lawyers never should think their records dated duly if, after the day of the month and year, these words did not as well appear. And so long after what happened here, on 22nd of July, 1376, and the better in memory to fix the place of the children's last retreat, they called it the Piper's Street, where any one playing on pipe or tabor was for sure the future to lose his labour, nor suffered their hostelry or tavern to talk with a mirth a street so solemn, but the opposite, the place of the cavern, they wrote the story on a column, and on the great church window painted the same, to make the world acquainted. How their children were stolen away, and there it stands this very day. And I must not omit to say that the Transylvania there's a tribe, the outlandish ways and dress, on which their neighbours lay such stress, to their fathers and mothers having risen as of some subterraneous prison, in which they were trepanned long time ago in a mighty band, out of Hamlin town in Brunswick land, but how or why they don't understand. That's a lot longer than I remember it, but it's a very, very good poem. So we're going to go a few more sections in, as that overtook a long time, so I might sort of close it a little bit earlier. We'll see what the next section is, and I think we might stop after that one. And if you guys enjoy that, I can always come back with some more. I want to find the nonsense poems, because they're usually my favourite as a child. Here we go, stuff and nonsense. Let's read one of these, and then this one's by Ian Macmillan, and this is called Names of Scottish Islands to be shouted in a bus queue when you're feeling bored. Yell, Muck, Eeg, Rum, Eust, Hoy, Fula, Col, Canna, Barra, Giga, Jura, Pabe, Rasse, Skye. And that's it, that's the poem. It does as it says in the name. And we've got one called Snuffle Waffle, which I'm going to find. And then I think we're going to call it there, because it's been quite a long video, but I hope you enjoyed it. I do like doing a bit longer videos sometimes, but sometimes I just don't have the actual attention span to sit down straight for this many videos. This length of video. Where's the Snuffle Waffle? See if we can find it, shall we? Enjoy the page turning while I try and find it. Here we go. It's not called Snuffle Waffle, but it's called the Loch Ness Monsters Song. snuffle waffle, and waffle, huffle huffle, gobbler 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 gobbler. I can't even read it. But I'm gonna try. Drop Hoffleblodok, Doppelottervok, Plofferdock Doppeldokosh, Scrabble Hafferjack, Grabble Hafferfok, Sploffok, Zagra Krakrabok, Groff Graf, Gomble, Umble, Bl, Bl, Plum, Blum, Plum, 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 Bloop. It's got, and that was by Edwin Morgan. It's got a picture of the Loch Ness Monster, but I'll show you just so you know. That's effectively what I was just trying to read out to you, and I think a lot of it I did alright. But I think that's where we're going to leave it for today. Let's give you a bit of tapping as I talk out. But I hope you enjoyed this sort of video. It's a little bit different. I do a bit of reading occasionally. But I saw this book and I thought I'd share some poems with you all today. It's like a nice little sort of chilled out, relaxed. Even the lighting's a bit more warm today, and the lights behind me, we're in a bit of a different setting. But let me know what you think of this setting, because I do plan to use it, like, as well as the other sort of thing I use with like the coloured lights. But, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm not going to hang around too long. But if you did, drop it a like. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Leave a comment on what you thought of it and stuff like that. But that's it really, guys. So, as always, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're relaxed. Sleep well. And I'll catch you next time.